We, on behalf of whole Alumni Contact Program team, extend a warm welcome to everyone for Tips from the Top. Today's session is on careers in civil services.
It is a pleasure to have with us our Dean of Student Affairs, Professor A.R. Harish, and Advisor of DORA Committee, Professor Sudhir Kamble with us.
First of all, I would request Professor A.R. Harish and Professor Sudhir Kamble to welcome and felicitate our alumni and speakers of the session.
For today's talk, we have with us Mr. Skand Ranjan Tayal, former Ambassador of India. Mr. Amitabh Yash, IPS of 1996 batch. Mr. Salil Mishra, IRS of 2000 batch. Mr. Gaurav Agrawal, UPSC 2013 AIR1 and IAS 2014 batch. I would now request all delegates to kindly take their seats. Before that, I would request our guest speakers to light the lamp.
We would like our guest speakers to light the lamp. The Civil Services examination conducted by UPSC is the toughest examination in India with success rate of 0.1 to 0.3% with more than 10 lakh applicants. Despite all the odds, our alumni have served in the topmost elite and bureaucratic position for Government of India. We are really thankful to all our guest speakers who, despite their busy schedules, have managed to come and deliver today's talk. So let us commence our today's session.
There is a slight change in today's program. Mr. Devesh Chaturvedi is not present here with us due to his urgent meeting with Prime Minister in PMO. So, our first speaker is retired Ambassador Skand Ranjan Tayal. Mr. Tayal completed his post-graduation from IIT Kanpur in 1971 and joined Indian Foreign Services in 1976. He was India's Consul General in Johannesburg and Houston and Ambassador of India in Uzbekistan and South Korea. He has also served as Secretary of Indian Commission for UNESCO, Chief Passport Officer of India, and Director in charge of IT in MHRD.
Mr. Tayal has wide experience in both bilateral and multilateral diplomacy and has been a frequent and prominent speaker on contemporary affairs. So I request him to brief us about his long and varied journey. A huge round of applause for him.
Thank you. Esteemed professors, dear friends, I'm really delighted to be back here and to talk about my own experiences a little bit. Takes me back to early 70s when I was where you all are today. And so many choices, what to do with life and where to go. I had completed M.Sc, was doing research, whether to go to the United States, whether to take up some teaching assignment here. I got selected for a bank, well. So it is about choices. And choices are very important at this stage of life in India because you are at a crossroads of life. And what you choose now will practically set you up for your entire professional career. And that is something which is not really very good because in India, the flexibility or mobility in professions is very, very little. Whereas in other countries, it is much more. I remember one of our colleagues from chemistry department, Dr. Sethi, he finished his PhD, went to US, and after 6 months, he changed to medicine. He started doing medicine, MBBS, because he said that is a better career. But you can't do that in our country. So to make the right choices is very, very important. Many of you are now all hooked on YouTube, etc. Would have seen some YouTube lectures of Dr. Sheena Iyengar. She talks about choices and makes one very important point that in the West, particularly United States, she is teaching in United States, the choices are made by the individual based on his own interests, own perceptions, own aptitude, and his own ambitions in life. But in Asian societies, particularly like a society in India, choices are made by family members, by the people you interact with, by your own peer group, and by your own community. That is an important point. Bear that in mind. Now I'm looking at choices in life. Some people have a lot of passion for something. So first look at yourself and see whether you have passion for cricket, for a startup. You want to do something, you want to change the world. You want to do some earth-shaking research. You want to become a great chef. You want to become a great actor. If you have that in you, then just follow that course, as many of our recent films have also shown. But most people, like myself, we are comfortable with all right, we are looking for a career, a profession. We'll see how life comes, what life gives to us. But what are we looking for? What are our own aspirations? When we move ahead, when you move from a student life to a professional life to a career, what is it we want from that career? Most of us come from middle class background, and at least in my mind, the first and foremost was some kind of financial security. That whatever career, whatever profession I opt for or life gives to me, it should have some financial security. और not just दो वक्त की रोटी, थोड़ा उससे ज़्यादा भी. Now, when I joined service, I was just sharing with our younger colleagues. My first paycheck was 610 rupees. But now we are in 2015, and at that time even the bank and others were paying more than a direct civil servant. But now, after successive pay commissions, the pay packages, I would say, are generous. You can live very comfortably. When I was under secretary in New Delhi in Government of India, most of us used to go on scooters to South Block. Now, every under secretary has a car. So, I think that way, civil services is a good career. And another very important thing is, in civil services, that you can practically track your progress in your own career. Where will you be at a certain point in future? And that is a great comfort level to have in this world, so that you can plan your own moves, your family obligations, etc. The second point, which I feel is very important, some of you may not feel, is job security. I have a lot of people, I know their children are in big banks, etc. Today you are getting 1 crore, tomorrow they are on a pink slip. There is no job. Many of my own contemporaries from IIT, etc., who went to the United States in the 40s, you ask them what they are doing, they are, well, I am now a consultant. That means they have no job. And some people may be comfortable with it, but some people may not be. So in the government, there is total job security unless you are found with your hand in the till and our friend here, Amitabh, catches you. Till then, you are safe. Now coming to professional satisfaction. Any service you join, whether it's railways or income tax or police or IAS or IFS or whatever, there are so many services. It will give you a range of options, what you want to do, and you can choose to do what you want to do. It is not that you are stuck to one lab or one office or one kind of routine job for all your 40 years or 35 years of your career. You can go for a field job, you can become an assistant collector, a police officer, an income tax officer, railway traffic service officer, first secretary abroad. You can go to the headquarters and try to do administration, policy making. Every service has some kind of a research institute or a training institute. If you are of an academic bent of mind, you can go there and comfortably teach your fellow or young officers. You can join international organizations. Every service is linked to some kind of international organization. United Nations has all kinds of possibilities. Audits and accounts people go for auditing all over the globe, the UN accounts. You can opt for that if you have the aptitude. And it can give you lots of opportunities which you will think will not come your way. I was in Ministry of HRD for 5 years, and for 1 year I was secretary of the IIT Council. And I was member of the team which selected the spot, the area where IIT Guwahati stands today. This was 92 or 93, if I remember right. So there is a variety of jobs you can do, and if you get into the government service. So you can choose something which suits your inclination once you join any service. Now, most of us want to do something for the society also, for the community, that along with our own comfort, our own career, our own success in life, if we can do something for the society, that is good. And I think the maximum opportunities for doing something for the society at large will be offered in government service. I remember one of our junior colleagues had come from, he was from IIM Ahmedabad or somewhere, then joined some company, and then joined the foreign service. And we asked, why have you joined? He said, वहाँ तो मैं साबुन बेचता था. But you know, so you may be earning a lot of money, but ultimately what you are doing is of no consequence to the society at large. But here, you can set policies, you can execute policies which can touch lives of millions of our citizens. An IITS officer is now heading Air India. I was Chief Passport Officer of the country for 3 years, in 1999 to 2001, and I can claim that I put the entire organization on the path of computerization, mechanization. Earlier, passports used to be handwritten. Now if you apply for a passport, it is a machine printed passport with a machine printed photo. All that was started by me. So wherever you are, you will get some opportunities where you can make a fundamental difference touching thousands of lives. Now, status in society. I think government job does give you a good status in society. That is one part. The other part is connections. Unfortunately, in our country, as you know, everything is scarce. And it helps if you have connections. And you have 4 months of common foundation training, make friends in every service. If I have an income tax problem, I go to my income tax colleague. In fact, tonight, for my journey back to Delhi, I am waitlisted, and I have given a ring to my railway traffic service batchmate, and I hope he will deliver. So the government service will give you this opportunity to have great connections and network. I am not going into it whether it is good or bad, but life is much more comfortable if you have a good network in our blessed country. And if you have the spark, if you have something which President Abdul Kalam used to say, the dream in your eyes, then also government service can offer you a great opportunity. Whether it is Mr. Sridharan of Metro, whether it is Kiran Bedi of Police, whether it is Ambassador Parsarthi, you must be seeing him on television all the time, whether it is Amitabh Kant, who is doing Make in India with Prime Minister Modi. These are some of the names which everybody knows, but in every service there are a number of people who are held in very, very high esteem within their own peer group, which the whole government and the whole people who interface with them know that they have done great job. And that opportunity the government service will give you. So civil service is fine. But I would say that you should choose the service you opt for with some care. Don't go just by what your peer group says or what your family members say. Because certain services do require certain aptitude. I would say that service like forest service or police service perhaps requires a little bit of stamina, and I'll not be happy to do PT at 6 a.m. in the academy. Or income tax would require some kind of capacity to crunch numbers, that you are comfortable with dealing with numbers. But so when you give your sequence or order of jobs, be a little careful and have a look at your own aptitude, your own interests, and where you think you are strong. You are strong. Now, a lot of, when I joined service or before that, most of the aspirants as well as entrants to services used to have arts backgrounds. Graduates, postgraduates of political science, history, English literature. And often this question is asked, why so many engineers are coming? I think maybe majority is now engineers. But I hold the view that if governance in India is to improve, we have to go more and more towards e-governance. And there, as an engineer, you will be able to find solutions which will be very easy for you to find and to design and to implement. Because all of us know that there are things which are very wrong with India's bureaucracy. Its integrity is questionable at many levels. As Chief Passport Officer, I have seen how ugly it can be. And the way to address this issue, you cannot change people, you can't change people's attitudes, that is a social reformer or somebody will do it. But the way to do it is to reduce the discretion available with the officer in any situation. Everything should be that and e-governance can help that if there is a certain set of parameters, then the outcome should be predictable. And the officer should not be able to change that outcome. And reduce the interface between the citizen and the government functionary. Like in Delhi, they have recently introduced, if you lose your car, you can just report everything online. And in 1 month, if it's not required, then the report comes online and you can get your insurance claim. Otherwise, it used to be such a harassment for people just to request that inspector to give a report that you can now take the insurance claim. It is just one example I'm giving. So e-governance is the way to go, and there all of you engineers will be very fit. And now I'll take this opportunity to talk a few minutes about the Foreign Service. When I joined in 1976, it was the premier service. I mean, in the top 25, 18 joined Foreign Service and 7 the other service. But things are different now. There are lots of reasons. But what I would say that it is a great service. But again, a person has to be suitable for it. I would strongly recommend that you have a look at it, but also have a look at yourself and your own personality. You must be interested in international relations. You must have great communication skills, both verbal and written, because most of the time if you are abroad, you are just talking to the government there, people there, officers there, and reporting back to your own government. So great communication skills, and your about half the career or even more, you will be posted abroad. So you should be comfortable with living abroad and have some degree of socialization. If you are reclusive, if you are very introverted, then Foreign Service is not really for you. But what you can do there is very significant, because wherever you are, at every level, you will represent the country, the people, and the government. So there is a lot of prestige you carry when you represent India with a diplomatic passport in any country. There are 10 million people with Indian passports now abroad, another 20 million people of Indian origin, and they are a lot of support you get from them, a lot of bhav you get from them, a lot of good work you can get out of them. Then of course it is an era of globalization, and India is very much integrated with the rest of the world. Safeguarding the national security or sovereignty is one part of it. The other part is securing the economic interests of the country. I remember Dr. Manmohan Singh, Prime Minister, used to say that the role of the Foreign Service is, the objective of foreign policy is to ensure a secure and stable external environment for economic growth and development of the country. So the whole nature of work has changed, and you have to cross swords with the diplomats of other countries in negotiations on climate change, on World Trade Organization, on nuclear energy issues, IAEA, etc., and that will give lot of scope for specialization. And it requires a lot of background in sciences, in engineering, etc., and that would be very useful. Personally, what I have found most satisfying in Foreign Service is that it is away from the muck of Indian politics. In foreign service, neither we are a big spending department, we don't have a big budget, neither it is a revenue earning department, nor there is a spectrum or coal or anything to be given. So the normal politicians don't bother us. And it gives a great opportunity to interact one-on-one with the cream, the elite, the chief minister, the ministers, the top artists, and Amjad Khan will come to your house, and you just President APJ Abdul Kalam has been to my house. When I was Consul General in Johannesburg, the whole Indian team I hosted, and I have a bat signed from Sachin Tendulkar right down to the Indian doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker of the session is Mr. Amitabh Yash. He completed his master's in chemistry from IIT Kanpur in 1994 and served in Indian Police Services in 1996. He was posted as Deputy Inspector General in Kanpur City until recently when he was promoted to Inspector General in Lucknow. So, without much ado, let us call him on the stage to enlighten us with his experience and wisdom.
Esteemed faculty members, our senior and junior colleagues on the panel, and my dear friends, it's indeed a pleasure to be back here at IIT Kanpur. And being among you, it overawes me. I shall be speaking through the prism of my experience. Of course, that is the only word that differentiates between you and me. I used to be you 20 years ago. I was among you, looking up to other speakers, other panelists. However, experience is not an unmixed blessing. It also means that my experience will guide what I accept as truth. My experience is by no means complete. It is like one of those blind men who went to see the elephant. So excuse me for that. Again, the experience is limited to the police service, though I do see my other colleagues in the administrative service, revenue services, less in the foreign services, the railways. Is it a great thing to do? Is the civil services a great place to be? Well, in my opinion, yes. For every young man, for every young person or a young lady who has some spark in them, this is the place to be. You can do anything else. Of course, like if you want to do something, if you have a passion for something, do that. If you have the passion to be a chef, nothing like it. There are chefs in Lucknow who are multi-billionaires. So, do what you feel like. You'll be happy that way. And being happy counts. If you are at the best of the positions, and you're not happy about what you're doing, then believe me, it's going to be a mess. Then life is not going to be worth it. And it's only one life that you get. However, civil services gives you that opportunity at a very young age to do what CEOs of major corporations would be doing, or probably even what they can't do. At a very early age, you would be a district magistrate, superintendent of police, or a senior superintendent of police in a place like Kanpur. And the opportunities of service that you enjoy are tremendous. Now that is what you will remember 20 years later, what you did, or 40 years later, or when you retire, or when you're talking to your grandchildren. That is what you'll remember. Whatever you do now, the way you choose now, will decide how your life is going to be. Of course, you can switch, but switching at a later time becomes more difficult, more and more difficult. The civil services as an option in career is difficult to get through. The number of people taking the exam and the number of those getting through, the ratio is very adverse. That, of course, all of you know. But there are ways of success. You have to approach the exam in a way that you succeed. Well, how did I do it? Is what I can tell you. The first thing that I realized was that knowledge has different levels. You must understand the basics. Whatever you learn, you must understand the basics. You should be able to apply that knowledge, and then you should be able to present it to an examiner who is going to later evaluate your answer sheet. This is the most crucial part of getting into the service, and that is what probably most of you would be looking at. So, the question could be that in 25 words, please explain why Kanpur, in spite of having 1/10 of the cars of Bombay, has 10 times more pollution. So, you should know what would guide the climate of Kanpur or the climate of Bombay, and what difference exists. You should be able to apply it to this answer, and you should be able to present a cogent answer in 25 words. Now, this is not an easy job. You have to practice for it. You have to learn how to do it. The second problem is the scope of knowledge. The second problem that you have to approach is the scope of knowledge that exists. You have to know literally everything under the sun. You have to study history, the constitution, economics, geography, sciences, general sciences. So you have to keep yourself, start preparing for it from an early age. Now, preparing for an eventuality like this is always welcome. I mean, it's always advisable. No matter what you choose as your career, having a good, broad, basic knowledge is always welcome. Whether you are a CEO of a soap manufacturing firm, or of an electronics corporation, or of a car manufacturing firm, a good, broad, basic knowledge is always advisable. So, you start preparing for it right away. Don't don't wait for the time when you choose your career. And this will help you at all times. Then, since the competition is so tough, you have to prepare everything according to, you have to prepare it in the best possible way. If you are studying about the constitution and you want to present an answer to the examiner to be getting the best marks in the country, then you have to have that depth of knowledge and that depth of the ability to present an answer. So whatever you prepare, do it in the best possible way. And it is possible that since you will be having layers and layers of knowledge being stored into your hard disk, some of it might just get erased or overwritten. So you have to keep revising whatever you're doing. Of course, these things my junior colleagues would be able to throw light on better. The way I did it was, see, the rocket flies only when its tail is on fire. So there must be some motivation for you to go to the service. When I decided that I would take the civil services exam, for whatever reasons, there were, as Mr. Tayal said, that it is the peer group, the family, and all kinds of things that decide what we are going for. My father was a police officer. Maybe that may have played a role. But once I decided that I'm going to take this exam, then it was this exam that was on my mind all the time. And I had to be reasonably sure of success. Otherwise, it would have been a waste of time and a waste of resources. And switching again, I told you, would have been difficult. So I decided that I would be studying whenever I'm awake. If I'm awake, I would be studying. And even when I took a break, I used to go out for a walk. I used to have some small notes in my hand. I would be going through them. Later, I devised another way. Of course, these are some of the methods that I used. You are free to devise your own ways. I used to have a small record player playing into my ears. And whatever I was doing, sometimes that record player used to be on if I was not studying. And I discovered that even if I went to sleep, I would be dreaming of what I had studied. And after some time, I started enjoying that. I started enjoying the studies bit. This had never happened before. Even at IIT, when we were slogging through, it had not happened. The pleasure came from every little thing that I learned when I was actually trying to gain as much knowledge as possible. Every little thing that I learned, or every new aspect of that knowledge that came. And then the competition was so tough that for every mark we lose 10 ranks, and for a one or two percentages, the whole competition is over. You're out. So you have to prepare for every little aspect. Even for writing the essay, one had to prepare. So when you are taking the exam, if you think that this exam is worth it, then you prepare for every little thing. And it just turned out, I prepared for writing an essay. I tried writing tens of essays. I read many books just to prepare for the essay. And did it give me any dividend? Yes, it did. Whatever you prepare for, you will get something out of it. I ended up with 150 marks in the essay, which I heard that was I found out that it was the highest ever. I mean, it was the highest that was given in that year. So prepare for every little thing, every little corner of that syllabus that's there. Your life, after you get through, will be decided by you. This is the best part. How much you want to work. Of course, like when you were in school, you wanted to be the best in the school. When you came to IIT, all the best boys, all the best fellows landed up here. So you have to make your place. You have to find your place. Once you end up in the civil services, there are 400 IPS officers in Uttar Pradesh. I have to find my place. What kind of place I want will depend on me. That is the best part. What I want to do, how I want to work, whether I want to work or I don't want to work, even that is also a luxury that only civil servants have. So anyway, I chose a path that was slightly difficult. The police services, I went into operations, and that is a very different side of the. Even in the policing, it's a very specialized and a different kind of a job. And it's only now, as Inspector General of Police, that I'm working in the Technical Services Department, where actually I can apply the knowledge that I gained in IIT. Since we are, the Technical Services looks after the forensic science labs, computerization of the department. It's only now that I have got to apply that knowledge. But did I get to apply this knowledge earlier? Yes, of course. Even in the midst of dacoit-infested areas, I was applying this knowledge. The little bit of learning that I got here from different fields, even about explosives, I was applying that knowledge. The ability to solve problems that we learn here, I was applying those methods in the field. Now, how this problem-solving ability can be applied into anti-dacoity operations is an entirely different subject that we cannot discuss here. But believe me, knowledge comes handy everywhere. Whether you are an engineer or a doctor, it comes handy everywhere. So, to begin with, I had a tough life. I ended up I started my job in Nagaland. My cadre changed to UP after my marriage. My better half is in the forest service. Then I went into operations, which meant staying in the jungles quite off and on, and jungle life is difficult. I was one of those few who opted for a job, a very few who opted for a life like this. But looking back, it's tremendous satisfaction. I happen to be among the more decorated officers. That is some satisfaction. And the impact that you can have on society is also tremendous. Just south of where we are is an area called Bundelkhand. Now, 10 years ago, this area was infested with dacoits. What does that mean to the society? It means that these fellows, these gun-toting fellows will guide the entire course of the society. They will decide who gets a contract, who lives and who dies, what will be published in the newspaper, even what will be published in the newspaper. It is they who used to decide. Today, just 10 years on, that entire system has changed. Those gangs do not exist anymore. This was carried out by a small team of officers who used to work with me. And in 10 years, they have changed the entire way that the society functions. That entire area, the way the society functions. This is not something that can be achieved in any other way. And especially for a place like India, where lots and lots has to be done, where we are far behind achieving the potential that we can finally have. We used to be a manufacturing hub 300 years ago. There's no reason why we cannot be now. We used to be a very, very vibrant society, though our society had lots of problems. But then there's no reason why crime should keep us behind, why corruption should keep us behind. It's time to leap ahead. And there's no better way to do it other than by your contribution in the civil services. Things can really change. You are going to be at the level of policy making, something that you cannot do elsewhere. Of course, there are difficulties, but difficulties are everywhere. This service also takes care of you after you retire. After 60, you're free to do anything that you want to do. And you have earlier we used to, our batches have pensions. The batches that come now, they won't get direct pensions, but they have certain schemes that will ensure pensions. These are great advantages that you don't get at other points, other places. Now, I hope I have conveyed what I wanted to. If there's something else that I have missed, maybe I can take questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will have question answer round at the end of the session. Next we have Mr. Salil Mishra, who completed his graduation in mechanical engineering as well as masters from IIT Kanpur in 1998. He served Government of India from year 2000 under Indian Revenue Services.
He is ex-Joint Commissioner of Income Tax Department at New Delhi and is currently Director of Central Board of Direct Taxes in Ministry of Finance. So let us hear directly from him. Please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
A very good evening, Chief Guest, faculty members, my dear young friends. It's indeed a privilege for me to be able to interact with young students of my alma mater, and I thank the Alumni Contact Program team members for inviting me for this program. They have taken a photograph of me, I don't know from where it is, but I think it is a vacation photograph. Yeah. And just by the way, it was taken, I think, at Santa Monica Beach, Los Angeles, where I had gone for mid-career training program. So now, do you like civil services? Anyways, much has been spoken before me by the chief guest and Amitabh sir. A lot of serious stuff. I think it all boils down to why we are here. It is a career choice you have to make. I do not see my role as selling you a particular career choice. I am not here to sell you civil services, all right? It is a choice each and every individual has to make. And all I can say is, since this affects your uh, a large part of your life, this choice should be made only and only by you. You may take counsel from your faculty members, you may take counsel from your family, from your relatives, your friends. We all do that. But end of the day, it should be a very, very conscious choice. For the simple reason, there are no right and wrong choices. When it comes to career, it's not a black and white decision, right? It's not like you can grade the career choices, civil services 1, this number 2, or then I want to opt for research, I want to go in private. You cannot grade it. There is no grade A, B, C, D. It is like 7 colors of rainbow. You may like violet, he may like orange, you may like yellow. I mean, what gels with me? And what goes with you or what gels with you has to be found out only and only by you. Now, having said that, of course, since I belong to a civil services background, I will speak in favor of it. I will tell you the pros, I will tell you the cons. But ultimately, it is a choice which has been made by the individual. Civil services as a career choice, yes, it does offer you a lot of opportunity to serve the public, serve the people, to serve the nation. It gives you a social status, it gives you a prestige, yes, it gives you a job security, and after 7th pay commission we can say financial security also. You are paid well. You are paid well. It is sufficient to take care of all your genuine needs. But having said that, most of the times career choices are made out of compulsion. I completed my B.Tech in mechanical engineering. After that, I had enrolled for M.Tech. All along my plan had been to pursue research. I just did not want to leave this campus. Yeah, it's so beautiful. It is one of the best places I have ever been. But the sad part is, we realize that only after we have left the campus. When all the facilities which are there, I mean, the world-class facilities, be it sports, be it research, be it library, you are not going to find it anywhere else. And I'm sure you are making good use of it. Now, it so happened that towards the end of it, when I was preparing my dissertation, due to some compulsions, I had to reprioritize my future plans. Now, when I look back at that, with the benefit of hindsight, I can say I'm doing well. I made a good choice. It suits all my priorities, which I thought at that time. But still, there was an element of compulsion. And this thing keeps coming back on you. It does keep coming back on you. As Amitabh sir was just saying, if you like, maybe if gardening gives you pleasure, it will continue to give you pleasure. Whether or not you make any money out of it, whether or not you make a career out of it. So, the best ideal scenario would be that you make your career choice completely free out of any compulsion. But that is an ideal state. We may not be able to afford that. So far as civil services is concerned, I would say that yes, indeed, it gives you, for engineers, there is a lot of scope. With the increased emphasis government is making on e-governance initiatives. I do not know about the other departments, but for the income tax, I can say that there have been several e-governance initiatives which have got attention of the government. There is something called ITDMS, Income Tax Database Management Services. it received the Prime Minister's E-Governance Excellence Award in the year 2013. And apart from that, there have been many initiatives which have touched the lives of common people. For example, now if you file your income tax return, within a couple of weeks or months you receive your refund. More than 90% returns are being filed online, and those returns are being processed on the CPC, Central Processing Cell. To give you an example, last year I filed my return on 31st July and my refund was credited on 15th of August. It is within 15 days. Now, you will be able to appreciate these changes if you talk to your earlier generation and ask them what was their experience in dealing with the income tax department. Now, in fact, there is a pilot project of the department which is called e-hearing, electronic hearing. The thinking is on the lines that the taxpayer should not be, need not visit the tax office. He should be able to send all his replies, documents, supporting evidences through email, which would be examined by the examining assessing officer, and then further action will be taken thereon. There are several such initiatives, but without going into detail, I can say that it is not a new trend that engineers have been joining civil services, in particular, and IRS in particular. In my batch, we were a batch of 25 officers in 2000. Out of 25, there were 7 engineers, and out of 7, 6 were from IITs. So it's not a new trend. It has been there, and engineers have greatly benefited the service, whichever service they joined. There is generally a thinking like, what if I go to civil services, what good will be my technical education which I received here, or engineering education. So you can contribute a lot. You can contribute a lot, particularly with the emphasis, as I talk, even in other services, whether in the IS, in district electorates, there are so many schemes now coming up in which the emphasis is on providing service to people through online portals and minimizing the public interface with the government functionary, with the idea to reduce harassment as well as to improve the quality of citizen services. Now, having said that, I do not know what are your expectations from, or what is the current trend. I also cannot educate you on how to prepare for civil services, because much has changed in these 15 years. But all I can say is, you will get an opportunity to work with the people. If you are that sort of a person, if you like to work with the people, if you like to patiently, spend time with them, go into details, try to think of some alternative solutions which may not be possible immediately within the given resources or within the given constraints. If you can work patiently in finding out solutions where there are apparently no solutions, maybe you could think of entering civil services. So far as IRS is concerned, I will say that it has got some advantage over the other cadre services, with permission of the chair. That first thing is, there is minimum political interference as compared to the cadre services. When I say minimal, I mean at least it is not on a day-to-day basis. On a day-to-day basis, you do not have to sort of justify your decisions. So that is one advantage. The other advantage is, you get to live in metro cities or group A cities, most of your career you can spend in metro charges. So that is good for point of view of education and living standards. That is one, I mean, we cannot wish that away. That is a very important consideration when you decide about your career choice. So I think that is a big plus in IRS. But still, I'm not advising you on how to prioritize within civil services. I'm neither advising you on how to prioritize within other career options which are, I'm sure, available to you. So I would like to conclude my talk on this note that I would be happy if each and every one of you makes his choice based on his own likings, dislikings, aspirations, and gives more weightage to his own inclination, his own expectation from life, his own view of himself, rather than being compelled by some, ideals put forward by the faculty, by your seniors, by your family, or by your relatives, or by anybody around. Never succumb to any kind of, peer pressure or any kind of very genuine, good intentioned advice. No one can be more good intentioned so far as your career is concerned than yourself. So you are your best friend when you make a career choice. Apart from that, if you have any question, we can discuss. We can discuss the details. But this is the my broad view, which I would like to give some time to think about it. Thanks a lot for this.
Thank you, sir. Now we have our final speaker of the day with us, Mr. Gaurav Agrawal, who graduated from IIT in 2005 and then he went to IIM Lucknow to pursue his MBA in finance, where he was also awarded gold medal for academic excellence. He initially worked at Citigroup Global Markets Asia Limited for more than 3 years and then he received AIR-1 in UPSC 2013 and joined Government of India as an IAS officer. So let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Thank you. I would like to thank first of all the speakers before me, the esteemed faculty, and then of course all of you for being here and patiently listening to us. Well, I would like to break this sort of speech into 2.5 parts. In the first part, I'll tell you a story. And of course, since as you get older, you love to tell stories about yourself, but that's not the reason why I would tell this story. I would tell you this story because it contains many lessons, many fundamental lessons. And if you get these fundamental lessons right, उसके बाद all the technical reasons like क्या पढ़ना है, कैसे पढ़ना है, कैसे अखबार पढ़ना है, ऐसे कैसे लिखना है, all these things, ये सब हो जाती है. But the fundamental lessons you have to get right. This session is tips from the top. So I really start from the top. In the second half part, I would briefly tell you, like the esteemed speakers before me have covered while civil services. I would briefly tell you at like this, just the initial phase, why I feel this is the right choice. And finally, in the final part, the entire thing would be open for questions and then we can answer any of your questions. Okay, so the story first. I hope, does anybody of you know what my CPI here was? Okay. I am asking this because, this is to put the right kind of context. ओके, आप लोगों में से फर्स्ट ईयर का कौन कौन है? अरे बाप रे, फोर्थ ईयर का कौन कौन है? तो आप जो फर्स्ट ईयर वाले हैं, इनसे आई वुड जस्ट रिक्वेस्ट कि अब तो खैर आपका नहीं हो सकता, बट यदि आते ही आते सेकंड डे आप किसी फोर्थ ईयर वाले के पास जाते और उससे पूछते कि भैया यहाँ पर आईएएस की तैयारी कौन कौन कर रहे हैं तो आपको अच्छा खासा पता रहता है. आई एम श्योर डोसा सर वुड हैव स्टॉप्ड ऑल द रैगिंग नाउ, बट मेरे साथ ये हुआ था, इस तरह से चला गया था. एंड वेल उसके बाद जो हुआ सो हुआ. फर्स्ट ईयर वॉज स्टिल ओके, बट फर्स्ट ईयर में यहाँ आने के बाद एक कांस्टेंट सॉर्ट ऑफ हैमरिंग सी दिमाग के अंदर एक सोच सी बैठती चली गई कि पढ़ना लिखना और जस्ट लाइक हार्ड वर्क इज मेंट फॉर लेसर पीपल. भाई अपने पास तो दिमाग है, अपने को पढ़ने लिखने की क्या जरूरत है. उसके बाद सेकेंड स्टेज ऑफ द स्टोरी. इन द सेकेंड ईयर माई बर्थडे 15th of August, मेरे 3 फ्रेंड्स आए रूम पे एंड दे टुक मी टू कंप्यूटर सेंटर कि गौरव चल, नॉट गौरव लाइक वट एवर माई नेक वॉज, बट सेड गौरव चल तेरे को आज एक अच्छी चीज सिखाते हैं. एंड वहां पे जाके आई सॉ एंड आई स्टार्टेड प्लेइंग एज ऑफ एम्पायर्स. आई थिंक अब तो गेमिंग एंड ऑल इज बंद राइट, स्ट्रिक्टली नहीं हुई है. वेल आई स्टार्टेड प्लेइंग एज ऑफ एम्पायर्स और वेल अनफॉर्चुनेटली और फॉर्चुनेटली वॉट एवर हमारे बगल में कुछ सीनियर्स बैठे हुए थे, उनके साथ पहला गेम लगा. तो मैं तो हमने खेत वेत बना रहा था, घर वर बना रहा था, एंड सडनली लाइक दे केम विद ऑल द हॉर्सेस एंड नाइट्स एंड एवरीथिंग. पूरी दुनिया उजाड़ के चले गए. लेटर ऑन आई फाउंड आउट कि वो लोग उस समय के बेस्ट प्लेयर्स होते थे एज ऑफ एम्पायर्स के. एंड देन स्लोली एज ऑफ एम्पायर्स के साथ साथ यू नो आई स्टार्टेड प्लेइंग काउंटर स्ट्राइक एंड ऑल दैट. पहले फर्स्ट ईयर में आई रिमेंबर माई CPI वॉज अराउंड मिड 8.6 8.5, ठीक है, प्रीटी डिसेंट रिस्पेक्टेबल. सेकेंड ईयर में ठीक है, गिरी 7 and all that. Then came the 6th semester, and I'm not telling you all this to, you know, I'm telling you because all this holds lessons. Then came the 6th semester. 6th semester में हम लोगों का रूम हॉल 2 के अंदर 213 था. मेरा एक हमारे रूम के अंदर 2 कंप्यूटर होते थे. बाय दैट टाइम लैपटॉप्स हैड नॉट कम, सो देयर वर 2 कंप्यूटर्स. एक कंप्यूटर पे 24 आवर्स कोई ना कोई खेल रहा होगा, दूसरे कंप्यूटर पे 24 आवर्स कोई ना कोई मूवी देख रहा होगा. एक बेड पे हमेशा कोई ना कोई सो रहा होगा, नीचे एक गद्दा बिछा था उसके ऊपर भी कोई ना कोई सो रहा होगा, और एक बेड पे हमेशा 4-5 लोग पत्ते वत्ते खेल रहे होंगे एंड सिगरेट पी रहे होंगे. सो दैट I'm not saying I used to do all this. That semester, my वो semester वाली SPI was 3.6, and I would really like to thank the IIT कानपुर grading system, क्योंकि वो फेल होने पे भी 2 देते थे. नहीं तो 1.66 टाइप्स पे हो जाती, फेल होने पे भी 2 मिलते थे. Still like 3.6, and also one मैम जिन्होंने मेरे को पास किया था, because she said you don't know what to write but you write well, that's why I'm passing you. तो उस तरह से कर करके and then you know it really started. Final year में my degree got extended. Before that जो जॉब इंटरव्यूज होते थे मोस्ट ऑफ देम में तो कट ऑफ होता था 8 CGPA का, जाने 7 CGPA कुछ इस टाइप से, तो मैं उन्हीं में बाहर हो जाता था. फिर भी लाइक आई रीच 5 जॉब इंटरव्यूज, एंड 5वें जॉब इंटरव्यू में जाके मुझे लिया गया था ओनली बिकॉज द गाय हु वाज इंटरव्यूइंग मी ही गॉट अ फोन कॉल फ्रॉम हिज फ्रेंड. तो वो फ्रेंड से बात याद करने लग गया, एंड देन ही टुक मी ऑन द फेस वैल्यू, कंप्यूटर साइंस का इसको आता ही होगा. एंड देन आई गेव 7 IIM इंटरव्यूज. उस समय IIM 20-25 नहीं होते थे, उस समय IIM सिर्फ 6 होते थे. पहले साल में 2 IIM कॉल्स आई थी, उसके बाद जब उनमें नहीं हुआ था तो हॉल 1 की छत पर पे ही थे, सी वाले उसकी सी टॉप पे। एंड देन नेक्स्ट ईयर 5 IIM इंटरव्यूज, एंड इन एवरी IIM इंटरव्यूज मुझे जी भर के गालियां पड़ती, जी भर के, कि देखो ये हैं आजकल के इंजीनियर, व्हाट आर यू। फॉर्चुनेटली वेल जिस दिन रिजल्ट आया उस दिन मैंने चेक किया, आई एम अहमदाबाद नॉट सिलेक्टेड, आई एम कैलकाटा नॉट सिलेक्टेड, आई एम लखनऊ सिलेक्टेड, ये क्या हो गया। इंदौर एंड कोझिकोड आल्सो रिजेक्टेड मी, but that was the break, and I told you all this because this was the lessons. IIT में मेरे साथ इतना बुरा क्यों हुआ? Not because of CS, Counter Strike, not because of Age of Empires, not because of any other worldly vices, but because I got arrogant. Because I got arrogant कि मेहनत करना is meant for lesser mortals. आपके पास दिमाग है तो आपको मेहनत करने की जरूरत नहीं है. And then, why did I do this? Why did I realize this? Because I had the courage to find my own mistakes. That is the lesson I want to give you. That is the lesson I want to give you. We all are humans, we all are weak, but we should have the courage to find our own mistakes. And once we find our own mistakes, we should work on it. जब मैं IIM गया, पहले दिन ही जाके मेरे पापा मम्मी साथ गए थे, वो हमेशा मुझे छोड़ने आते हैं, तो पहले दिन ही जाके मुझे पता लगा कि यहाँ पे तो लाइक इफ यू मिस 3 क्लासेस ग्रेड ड्रॉप हो जाता है, एंड इफ यू मिस 6 क्लासेस फेल कर देते हैं, और 2 सब्जेक्ट से फेल होने के बाद बाहर ही निकाल देते हैं। तो मैंने पापा से कहा कि पापा आप तो आज चलो, मैं आता हूँ थोड़े दिनों में। बट नाउ हियर आई वांट टू टेल यू, मेरे IIM के बैच में there were only 2 people who did not carry their own computers or laptops. One was a person of very weak financial background, he could not do it because of financial reasons, and the other one was me. क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे पता था if I get it, all those things will start again. Second thing which I did was, मैंने आपको 6th semester बताया अपना मेरे रूम में क्या हाल होता था. When I went to IIM, I deliberately picked up the hostel which was farthest away from rest of the other hostels. वहाँ पे उसके एक कोने के अंदर रूम लिया मैंने, so that I get my own personal space. कि जब मेरी इच्छा होगी, then I will go to my friends and do whatever I want to, जो भी करना है. In IIM, mind you, I had more fun than IIT, but in IIM, I took my room very far away. और जब एग्जाम होते थे तो मैं उस रूम में भी रहना छोड़ देता था. मैं अपना मोबाइल सब उस रूम के अंदर रख के लाइब्रेरी सीसी इन्हीं के अंदर जाके रहता था for whatever हफ्ते 10 दिन. So the thing is, you should learn from your mistakes. And then IIM के अंदर गया. Now why did I go to IIM? Most of the people do MBA, go to IIMs because they want good career. But I did not go to IIM to find a good career or something. I went there to study. So this is the second lesson I want to give you. Have clarity. Have clarity of your goal, what you want to achieve out of it. And then, after IIM, I went to city. वहाँ पे I worked, this and that. फिर जब वहाँ से छोड़ने का टाइम आया, तो that is a different story. इसके अंदर कैसे आया, but whatever, leave that. When I decided to opt for this exam, first of all, why did I decide to study for IAS? Why did I decide to give this exam? Well, of course, one reason was कि IAS बनेंगे, but उसके बाद क्या करेंगे मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था, और मुझे कोई मतलब भी नहीं था. I mean, of course, IAS बनना एक अच्छी बात है, सारे घर वाले कहते हैं, everybody says it's a good thing. If you are in India, it's a good thing. But I gave this exam because I love to study. मैंने जॉब के साथ महीने 2 महीने पढ़ के देखा, and eventually a point came where I loved studying more than I loved working. I mean, I used to love my work, I used to love my job there, but still a point came जब मेरे को पढ़ना ज़्यादा अच्छा लगने लगा compared to the job. So I left this, and then उस टाइम पे 2 ऑप्शन होते थे. I took history and economics. Now why history and economics? Because I used to love these subjects. I used to love this. I used to love studying history. I used to love studying economics. जब स्कूल के अंदर when we reach a new class और वो नई पूरी बुक्स का सेट वेट आता है, तो सबसे पहले I used to finish my history book. उसको बैठ के पढ़ता था मैं 2-3 दिन में. ऐसे ही जब भी टाइम वाइम होता था मैं वर्ल्ड वॉर्स और इन सब के बारे में पढ़ता रहता था. I used to love studying history. That's why I took history option. Similarly, economics, I used to love economics. That's why. This is the third lesson which I want to give you, and that's where I'm going to end my story. कि do what you love to do. क्योंकि जब आप किसी चीज को when you love something, then जो passion आता है and then जो effort आता है, then really no one can stop you. You will realize more than your potential, and I'm sure each one of you sitting here has the potential to be a topper. I mean, it only takes a little bit of kismat to move from whatever 200-250 to first rank. All it takes is kismat on that day. But each one of you has the potential, and that is why I'm saying do what you love to do. Only then you will realize the potential. Not just in civil services exam, bahar mein jaye civil services, but in whatever you choose to do. Well, that's the first part of the story. Now, second, the half part. The half part, I mean, everybody is selling civil services here. So, well, they've done a good job. Let me also just chip in with my bit. कि as a, मेरे को तो 5-6 महीने हुए in the district, not even 5-6 months, like 4-5 महीने type से. And as I said earlier, मुझे नहीं पता था IAS बन के क्या करूँगा. ना मुझे कोई मतलब था IAS बन के क्या करूँगा. Now, after coming in this job, after seeing this only for 4-5 months, it's too early, I may be wrong, but I feel this is also the right thing to do. क्यों? I mean, every job is important. जो भी आप entrepreneurship करते हैं, all the private company job, everything is very good, very excellent. But in this job, आप जिन चीज़ों के बारे में पढ़ते हो, आप क्या पढ़ते हो? स्वच्छ भारत, हम लोग वो करते हैं. We go to the villages. हम लोग सवेरे 4 बजे जाके जो है शौचालय बनवाते हैं. डिस्ट्रिक्ट के अंदर जो है पूरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट को मैनेज करना, उसके शौचालय वाले में ऊपर ले आना हम लोग करते हैं. इवन इन द ट्रेनिंग फेज आई एम टेलिंग यू, मेरे को सिर्फ 4-5 महीने हुए. यू टॉक अबाउट दिस जैम, आधार सीडिंग एंड ऑल दैट, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर, सबके बैंक अकाउंट, मोबाइल नंबर और ये आधार लिंक करना, सो दैट आपकी राशन के अंदर और इस तरह की जितनी भी लीकेजेस वगैरह होती हैं ये सब एलिमिनेट हो. ये सब हम करते हैं. नरेगा, इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ये सब हम करते हैं. आपके जितना भी आप बोलते रहते हो साला सिस्टम खराब है, सिस्टम खराब है, सिस्टम खराब है, तो सिस्टम सब सही कब होगा? जब आप जैसे अच्छे लोग जाएंगे. अभी अपन लोग ही ऐसे बाहर चले गए या सिस्टम खराब है करके सिस्टम के अंदर ही नहीं घुसे, सिस्टम कभी सही नहीं होगा. So, I mean, this was just the selling civil services part. Now, I believe the entire floor is open to the questions, and we'll be glad to answer any of the questions. यदि आपको कुछ भी और पूछना है, all the technical details and all, probably we can answer whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are proceeding to our question and answer session. So those who are interested in asking a question, they can raise your hand, we will get to you.
Good morning, sir. Good evening, sir. My question basically refers to Tayal, sir. I want to ask that you mentioned several qualities that should be present for the IFS career, particularly for the IFS career. So I particularly want to know that should these qualities be present already beforehand you start the career, or these qualities are developed gradually as we progress in the career?
I think it's a very, very good question. I believe all these qualities can be acquired as you progress in the system during the training period and subsequently. So, but you should have some openness of mind that and willingness to learn. It is not that now that I've got the job, so one should stop learning, but all these qualities can be acquired, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Next question.
Good evening, sir. This is Ashok, PhD student in chemistry department. I would like to ask from the thought and the environment, like I'm from Haryana and I want to pursue in the career in the research, but I have seen that the aspiration for the career, this thought comes from the people in the from the environment, and this environment is generally decided by our statesmen, thinkers, visionaries. So, like in the West Bengal and in the South India, the people who undergo into the education, they get respect, and in the West UP and East UP and Bihar also. So in the Gujarat, like people who want to go entrepreneur, they get respect. So I would like to ask how such an environment can be created in India, that everybody who would like to be a farmer, painter, civil servant, or whatever, so he'll get the equal respect for everything. So this is how such an environment can be have in India, that every student can be motivated through his career.
The question that you have posed to us is it should actually be posed to all of us. Who creates this environment? What you want to know whether we will ever start respecting labor. Is there any dignity in labor in the country? Yes, of course, we have a long way to go. But it will start from among us. As I told you, when I was
Sir, can you
speaking to
please
you,
be a bit louder?
when I was speaking to you, I told you that there are people, there are good chefs in Lucknow who are multimillionaires. They have a lot of respect. Whenever you do something from your heart, whatever you do, you'll get respect. And learn to respect yourself. That is all that I can say. Thank you.
So I would like to ask how, this is from myself, but like a vision that how such an environment can we have from the government side, from the visionary sides, from the thinkers, from the statesmen.
As was said, the environment comes from the society. We are all part of the society in different avatars, like a bureaucrat or a student. So, society still, unfortunately, in India has a very feudal mindset. And there are tinges of also a colonial legacy. So there is more prestige associated with raw power, and excellence of mind, excellence of art, etc. perhaps does not get that much of recognition by the society. But I would say that I have seen it changing over the years, in the decades. This is changing, and now in the mass media you will see that people with talent are recognized, they get space, they get prestige, they are financially also very well off. So things are changing, and I think we are on the right course. Would you like to?
If I understood your question correctly, you're talking about ethos of society and social mindset and its overbearing impact in determining our career choices. Yes, that is true to some extent. Nobody can deny that. But then the other part is, what would you, which force would you like to lead your life? Is it the perception of society which should decide how you should spend your life? Or is it your own value system, your own perception of yourself, your own likings and dislikings? Now, there is a constant turmoil within yourself. And it goes on for the entire, it goes on for a best part of our life. Nobody can give you cut and dry answers for that. But then you have to evaluate, you have to do the balancing, whether you are going to do what you like to do. जैसे कि भी गौरव ने कहा कि दिल से जो करना है, तो वो बात आपको सुननी है या ये सुनना है कि नहीं समाज की निगाह में तो ये अच्छा है। सवाल बस इतना सा है, आप कहते हैं कि अगर एक किसान के काम को उतनी इज्जत नहीं है, एक मजदूर के काम को इतनी इज्जत नहीं है, एक कलाकार के काम को उतनी इज्जत नहीं है। सवाल ये है कि आप समाज में किस काम को इज्जत है, इससे आप अपना काम डिसाइड करेंगे या आपकी अपनी निगाह में किस काम की, आपको खुद क्या अच्छा लगता है। तो यहाँ पे सवाल अपनी खुद की पसंद को, अपनी खुद की लाइकिंग को, अपने आप को तरजीह देने की है, या कि हम अपने जो इन्वायरमेंट है, अपना जो परिवेश है, जो सोसाइटी है और उसके जो प्रिवेलेंट माइंडसेट हैं उसके हिसाब से एडजस्ट करते हैं। ऐसा तो इफ़ यू से कि ये माइंडसेट कब चेंज होगा, नोबडी कैन आंसर दैट, ये माइंडसेट कब चेंज होगा। दीज आर फोर्सेस ऑफ टाइम, दीज थिंग्स इवॉल्व। काफ़ी चेंज हुआ है, मैं जब अपने समय से और अभी में जो कम से कम 1 डिकेड या 2 डिकेड में इतना चेंज दिख रहा है। अगर 70s से 80s से कंपेयर किया जाए, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ चेंजेस, लॉट हैज़ चेंज इन माई टाइम। इफ़ सच अ टॉक वॉज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ कि शायद आगे की 3-4 सीट के बाद कोई नहीं बैठा होता। तो बहुत चेंज मैं देख रहा हूँ। सो माइंडसेट चेंज, आवर प्रायोरिटीज़ चेंज। और लेकिन ये इस तरह की सोच रखना कि हमारा एक पर्टिकुलर इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड या साइंटिफिक जो भी एक पर्टिकुलर टेक्निकल बैकग्राउंड है और हमें किस तरह की करियर चॉइसेस लेनी चाहिए या क्या सक्सेस अच्छी है, उस सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी कि आपको दिल से क्या अच्छा लगता है। आई होप दैट एड्रेसेस योर क्वेरी, इफ नॉट आंसर्स इट।
Good evening, sir. My question is from Gaurav, sir. Sir, we would be, most of us would be very happy if you could answer, if you could throw light on the preparation part of this prestigious exam.
यार प्रिपरेशन पार्ट के लिए तो पूरा एक ग्रंथ है, you know, और okay, I mean I can right now cover only the broad points, the finer points. Now like it's been 2-3 years, I don't remember those finer points. And anyways, जब मेरा selection हुआ था, I wrote all of them in my blog. तो I hope like many of you would have seen it. And आप लोग blog के अंदर जाके देख सकते हैं कि क्या क्या पढ़ना है, इस टाइप से कौन कौन सी किताबें, all that thing. मोटा मोटा मैं आप लोगों को ये बता सकता हूँ। Okay, I'll tell you कि what I learned from the first attempt. In the first attempt, I got into IPS. And my rank was 244. Now, I mean that is good, but for me it was not so satisfactory. तो जब मार्क्स आए तो मैंने देखा कि मेरे जीएस के अंदर काफ़ी कम मार्क्स हैं, एसए के अंदर काफ़ी कम मार्क्स हैं और ऑप्शनल के अंदर अच्छे मार्क्स हैं। जबकि अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, मैंने तो जीएस के अंदर भी ज़बरदस्त आंसर्स लिखे थे। So then comes the thing that you must always, like I mentioned now, कि you must try to find your own mistakes and correct it. But हमेशा अपनी mistakes नहीं मिलती हैं. You must always get external feedback. आप लोग always like, you know, we are all human beings, we love what we do, और हमें लगता है कि हम जो करते हैं उसके अंदर कोई गलती नहीं होती है, मगर ऐसा नहीं होता है. गलतियाँ होती हैं which we cannot see, then others see. इसलिए like you join a test series, get your answers evaluated by other people, this kind of thing, so that you keep on getting feedback. Now, after getting feedback, I realized कि in optional I was doing fine because, you know, I was, okay, you guys are ideally suited for this. हम लोगों की एक बीमारी होती है, हम इंजीनियर्स की, हमसे पूछा जाए हमारा नाम क्या है तो हम बता देते हैं हमारा नाम क्या है. लेकिन इन ऑप्शनल नाउ इट्स फाइन, क्योंकि ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट में you have to write like the subject expert, and in the when a subject expert writes, he does not write all the trivial things and all these things. ठीक है, आपसे पूछा जाए आपका नाम क्या है, आप वो सब बता दोगे. But in GS we cannot write like engineers. We have to write like आर्ट्स पीपल, क्योंकि उनकी जो कॉपीज चेक करते हैं वो चेक करने वाले हैं जर्नलिस्ट. ओके, सो वी हैव टू, अपने को ये ध्यान रखना होता है हु आर वी टॉकिंग टू, राइट? हु, इफ वी आर राइटिंग आंसर्स, हु इज गोइंग टू चेक आवर आंसर्स? नाउ ऑफ कोर्स लाइक इन इकोनॉमिक्स, ओनली एन इकोनॉमिक्स प्रोफेसर इज गोइंग टू चेक माय आंसर. सो सपोज करो कि लेट्स से अखबारों में आता रहता है कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर इज गोइंग टू इंक्रीज इन्फ्लेशन, एंड लेट्स से आई प्रूव कि no, it's not going to increase inflation. तो when an economics professor sees it, he would get interested कि हाँ इसने ये लिखा है, अच्छा क्या लिखा है, then he will go through all my proof and say कि हाँ he was writing सही लिखा है इसने, और वो मेरे को extra marks देगा. But in GS if I write such kind of thing, GS paper is not going to be checked by an economics professor. भाई एक पेपर के अंदर 3-4 सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि 3 क्वेश्चन एक पेपर के एक आदमी चेक करेगा, 3 क्वेश्चन दूसरे के करेगा, 3 क्वेश्चन तीसरा आदमी करेगा, एक ही आदमी पूरा पेपर चेक करता है. तो हिस्ट्री हो चाहे ज्योग्राफी हो चाहे सोशियोलॉजी हो, ऑल दिस एक आदमी तीनों का तो एक्सपर्ट नहीं हो सकता. सो इफ लेट्स से हिस्टोरियन रीड्स दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर इज नॉट गोइंग टू इंक्रीज इन्फ्लेशन, वो पढ़ेगा, बोलेगा यार मैं तो अखबारों कर रहा हूँ, यही पढ़ा है कि इट विल इंक्रीज इन्फ्लेशन, तो क्या करेगा? सीधे मेरा आंसर पढ़ने का वो नहीं करेगा, बिकॉज ही इज नॉट चेकिंग माई कॉपी, बिकॉज ही लव्स टू चेक कॉपीज, ही इज डूइंग इट बिकॉज इट्स हिज जॉब. वो सिंपली उसे काटेगा एंड जीरो देगा, राइट? So, I mean, these are the kind of things you have to take care of. Similarly, when you are writing GS answers, तो आप लोगों को ध्यान रखना होगा कि let's say even if there is a main point, कि okay, in my first attempt there was a question on Nepal, कि सर नेपाल के अंदर उस टाइम पे वो सब चल रहा था, तो what are the main issues in Nepal and this and that. तो उस टाइम पे like I had done a PhD, almost PhD on Nepal, and I knew कि नेपाल के अंदर उस टाइम पे मेन इशू जो चल रहा था वो फेडरलिज्म का चल रहा था. So I wrote in detail about federalism के इशू पे कि नेपाल की इस पार्टी की इतनी सीट्स हैं, and this party is saying this, ये पार्टी इतने स्टेट्स चाहती है, ये पार्टी ऐसा चाहती है, ये पार्टी ऐसा चाहती है, इस करेंगे, these are the main issues. But this is not the way to write answers in GS. In GS, यदि नेपाल के अंदर 5 पॉइंट चल रहे हैं जिनमें से 4 ट्रिवियल भी हैं, तो भी you have to write those 5 points, 4 trivial points also. नहीं तो क्या होगा? एग्जामिनर विल सी, देखेगा नेपाल के अंदर तो 5 पॉइंट थे, इसने एक ही पॉइंट लिखा है, तो क्वेश्चन यदि 20 नंबर का था तो मार्क्स ही आपको 4 में से मिलेंगे. तो भले आपने उसे एक पॉइंट कितना अच्छा लिखा. आई मीन दीज आर द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ. सिमिलरली लाइक व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग एसेज, तो इन एसेज आपने यदि अपने कुछ गणित वणित लगा दी उसके अंदर, यदि आपने कोई हाईफाई मॉडल ये सब लगा लोगो दिया तो भूल जाओ, आपके 0 ही आएंगे, क्योंकि in most likelihood the person who is checking your answer will not be familiar with all those kind of models and everything. He is a general person. तो आपको उसके अंदर generalistic वो लिखना होता है. You have to be comprehensive. Cover all the points. I'm not saying you cover फालतू का points. Cover all the relevant points. Even if they appear trivial to you, but you must cover them. And write them in a manner which anybody can understand. In a very lucid way, in which any common man can understand. And then on top of it, you have to give a structure. कि ऐसा नहीं कि एक पॉइंट यहाँ लिख दिया, दूसरा पॉइंट वहाँ लिख दिया, सडनली कुछ हो रहा है, ऐसे नहीं. यू हैव टू राइट अ प्रॉपर स्टोरी कि एग्जामिनर जब पढ़े तो उसे लगे कि हाँ दिस पर्सन हैज थॉट बिफोर राइटिंग. दैट्स इट.
Sir, again I have one more question from you. You were in IAS as a DC of some district probably. So my question is that if I am correct, that you have to work under the ministers and whosoever Neta of that area. Now my question is that after being so much educated, after so much learning, after whatsoever, you have to work under someone who is nothing before you in terms of education. And moreover, he is not only education, he's much less sensible than you. So why do you feel like working under
हम लोगों
him?
की एक बहुत बड़ी बीमारी होती है, और हम लोगों से मेरा मतलब है कि ऑल द क्रीम डेला क्रीम एंड सारे इंटेलेक्चुअल्स की, कि हम लोग एरोगेंट होते हैं. हमें लगता है कि दुनिया में सबसे होशियार, सबसे अच्छा नहीं हूँ, बाकी सब बेवकूफ़ होते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है. ऑलराइट, भले ही सामने वाला अनपढ़ है, सो व्हाट, ही नोज अबाउट द ग्राउंड रियलिटीज मच मोर देन यू डू. उस तरह से मतलब ये सब चीज़ें यहाँ बोल के तुम्हें भी लग रहा है कि क्या फालतू की बात हो रही है, बट वेन यू एक्चुअली गो एंड सी, एवरी प्लेस इज यूनिक. वहाँ की एक यूनिक डायनेमिक्स होती है. यू हैव टू फिट इन टू दैट डायनेमिक्स. ना इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप वो जो भी चीज़ें बोल रहे हैं वो मानो. यू हैव टू ड्रॉ लाइन. जो गलत चीज़ है वो आप नहीं मानोगे, जिसको जो करना है कर ले. और जहाँ जो सही चीज़ है, सिंपली आप अपनी एरोगेंस की वजह से, सामने वाला सही चीज़ बोलता है तो आप सिर्फ अपनी एरोगेंस की वजह से उसकी चीज़ को नजरअंदाज मत करो. सो दीज आर फाइनल थिंग्स. यू हैव टू स्ट्राइक अ बैलेंस. यू हैव टू नो व्हाट यू आर डूइंग. थैंक
यू. सर, आई एम अ यूजी स्टूडेंट फर्स्ट ईयर. सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे है. सर, जैसे मैं अभी दिल से मैं अपने चाहता हूँ कि सिविल सर्विसेज मैं कब प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट करूँ और कौन से स्टेजेस पे मैं कितना दूर हूँ सिविल सर्विसेज, क्योंकि मेरा एकेडमिक्स भी है तो वो सब चीज़ भी है, तो मैं कब और कितना मतलब फोकस करूँ सिविल सर्विसेज के प्रिपरेशन स्ट्रक्चर.
ओके, अपने को ये लगता है कि इन IITs वी आर केप्ट वेरी बिजी. पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं हम. सिविल सर्विस की तैयारी का टाइम कहाँ है, दिस एंड दैट. आई हैव टोल्ड यू कि अच्छा, आप लोगों को मेरी IIM की CGPA पता है? 9.25. यहाँ की CGPA 6.8. एंड स्टिल आई टोल्ड यू आई हैड मोर फन इन IIM. क्योंकि ये जो चीज़ होती है ना कि हमारे पास इस चीज़ के लिए टाइम नहीं है, दिस एंड दैट. टाइम होता है, इट्स जस्ट अबाउट प्रायोरिटीज. इफ यू आर क्लियर इन योर माइंड एंड इफ यू गिव इट हाई इनफ प्रायोरिटी, यू विल ऑलवेज फाइंड टाइम. IIT के अंदर इतना खाली रखते हैं यार. हम लोग करते क्या थे IIT में? फिर लोग आप बोलते हैं IIM के अंदर जाके बिजी होते हैं. IIM के अंदर भी इतना खाली रखते हैं. तो ये जो चीज़ें हैं, इफ यू वांट यू कैन स्टार्ट फ्रॉम नाउ. If you are clear in your mind, if you are clear enough, if you want it badly enough, you will start from now. You won't need to ask this question from me. And then second चीज़ की, okay, this thing I can tell you कि अभी से क्या पढ़ो आप. Now obviously अभी से न्यूज़ पढ़ने का कोई खास फायदा है नहीं, because by the time you graduate and you give the exam, तब तक current things would have changed. But then you can prepare the basics now. जो basic GS होती है, you can prepare your optional now. You can prepare the basic GS, all those जो constitution ये वो फलाने माँ ये सारी चीज़ें you can read, and optional you can prepare now. But ये नहीं है कि मतलब अभी से prepare करना चाहिए कि नहीं. All these things are like they depend on you. These are your personal priorities. If you want it badly enough, you would have started.
मैं चारों गेट से व्यूज चाहूँगा इस पॉइंट पे दैट कि अपने अपने डोमेन में कितनी फ्रीडम होती है अपने सॉल्यूशन को इम्प्लीमेंट करने की. सपोज यू इन योर डोमेन सी लॉट्स एंड यू हैव लॉट्स ऑफ सॉल्यूशन दिस. तो कोई बैरियर होता है क्या अपने से कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ तो नहीं करना पड़ेगा? आई मीन सॉल्यूशंस आ रहे हैं तो इंडिपेंडेंटली हम इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं क्या? और वन पॉइंट और कि आज एक्चुअली मैं पटना बिहार से हूँ, तो कि लाइफ क्रिमिनल्स बोलते हैं, फिर लाइफ थ्रेट्स आजकल आईएएस ऑफिसर्स के, स्पेशली गौरव आपसे, कि डेथ्स हो रहे हैं वगैरह क्रिमिनल्स, तो लाइफ थ्रेट्स कितना होता है, यू नो? और आईपीएस सर से भी ये पूछना चाहूँगी, लाइफ थ्रेट्स कितने होते हैं क्रिमिनल्स से, माफिया वर्ल्ड से?
ये आपके क्वेश्चन का जो लास्ट पार्ट था, दैट ऑफ कोर्स रिलेट्स टू मी। कितना थ्रेट होता है, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ मच यू वांट टू वर्क। जैसा मैंने आपको बताया था कि सिविल सर्विसेज की सबसे बड़ी खासियत है कि आप जितना चाहो उतना काम कर सकते हो, और ना चाहो तो ना काम करो। पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है, आई हैव बीन फायर्ड अपॉन 13 times and I am lucky, very lucky. I consider myself very lucky. The odds are against me. तो और हमारे बहुत सारे दोस्त हैं जिनको ये समस्या नहीं है। They didn't have to face this kind of a situation. The crime scenario in UP and in India is difficult. ये आप ध्यान रखें। अगर आप पुलिस ऑफिसर हो तो इसको जरूर ध्यान रखें। अगर आप इफ यू आर एन IAS ऑफिसर, स्टिल दिस विल कम इन द वे ऑफ योर फंक्शनिंग। ये अब आपकी औकात की बात है कि आप उसके ऊपर कितना चढ़ जाते हो, आपकी क्षमता है। कम इनटू द सिविल सर्विसेज, बी प्रिपेयर्ड।
इसमें यही जोड़ना चाहूँगा कि आपको काम करने की बहुत फ्रीडम मिलेगी जिसमें किसी का वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट हर्ट नहीं होता, क्योंकि जो सिस्टम कुछ इस तरह का हो गया है कि बहुत वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट बहुत डीपली एंट्रेंस्ड है और उनका एक पॉलिटिकल नेक्सस भी है। और जब आप चाहे सैंड माफिया हो या तरह तरह के, आप सब अखबार पढ़ते हैं, सब आपको पता है कहाँ क्या होता है। अगर आप वहाँ कोई रिफॉर्म करने की कोशिश करेंगे तो बहुत दिक्कतें आएंगी। और उसमें जैसा यश ने कहा कि आपकी अपनी मेटल और कितना आप उसको लड़ने की क्षमता है, नहीं तो आप जैसे सीक ट्रांसफ़र एंड मूव ऑन, दैट इज़ द वे आउट।
I can share my own experience. Like, at the level where I am working, I generate my own work. Nobody asks me to take any decision in one way or the other way. In ministry as a director, I am generating my own work. So there is no such thing that you have to take any pressure and decision in any pressure or under any influence. Sometimes it happens, but the worst outcome is you will be transferred. You will be transferred to some. I was transferred to vigilance. I was transferred to some places. I worked there. So what? I mean, if you are ready to take everything in the stride, there are no such. I mean, at least in revenue service, I have never faced any kind of this threat or any kind of influence or any kind of external pressure being brought upon. Sometimes you may feel like you just can't do this. You hold your ground. You say, I can't do this. Worst thing that will be happen, you will be transferred. That is all. If you are ready for that, then nothing. हाँ, उस तरह की जो इंसिडेंसेस अभी रिसेंटली आई कि माइनिंग माफिया जो मध्य प्रदेश का शायद आप रेफर कर रहे होंगे, तो इनफैक्ट वन ऑफ माई रिलेटिव्स इज वर्किंग देयर इन MP cadre. So certain things are deeply entrenched and it is openly patronized by the powers that be. So you have to, I mean, you have to accept the reality and you have to live within that. Even within this campus, when you choose your departments, when you, I mean, you must be aware
So there are certain realities which you have to adjust to. I mean, you just can't go and start fighting with the ground person of mining mafia. You just don't jump in front of a vehicle. It's like that. Otherwise, if you are sensible enough, you can make your choices. You can give a purposeful. You can have a purposeful career. You can make your purposeful. Sometimes people confront just because they want to hog limelights. Yes, there are people like that. Some people make their career out of, I mean, they will not, if somebody is posted in traffic, he will not give challan to an ordinary person. He will give challan to governor. So that gives you limelight. So you have to do a serious introspection also. Whether you are just catching the bull by horns just to make a noise out of it. Sometimes people do that. Otherwise, if you want to avoid confrontation and make certain meaningful impact on the organization, you can always do that. Whether in government organization or whether in private organization, doesn't matter.
Well, I think I'm not really qualified to answer this because सिर्फ 4-5 महीने हुए हैं. But I can just tell you from the training कि during the training period you can really do anything. क्योंकि जो भी प्रेशर आता है, फ़ोन कॉल वगैरह आते हैं, सब आपके एसपी और आपके कलेक्टर का हेडेक है, आपका कुछ नहीं होता. तो ड्यूरिंग द ट्रेनिंग पीरियड यू कैन पीसफुली डू एनीथिंग विदाउट वरिंग अबाउट एनीथिंग.
सो मेरा क्वेश्चन स्कंद सर से है. सर, आप 2 देशों में एम्बेसडर रहे हैं, तो एक डिप्लोमेट की ज़िंदगी कैसी होती है और वो एक आईएएस से कैसे अलग होती है? स्कंद सर, सर, एक डिप्लोमेट की ज़िंदगी कैसी होती है और वो एक आईएएस से कैसे अलग होती है?
हम लोगों का करीब 1/3 या उससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा कैरियर तो हिंदुस्तान में ही बीतता है. दिल्ली में डिफरेंट मिनिस्ट्रीज़ में या स्टेट्स में एज पासपोर्ट ऑफिसर या कुछ इस तरह का. उसमें मैं समझता हूँ कि हमारा एक्सपीरियंस और आईएएस या पुलिस या इनकम टैक्स सबका एक्सपीरियंस समवॉट सिमिलर ही होगा. और कुछ हर एक सर्विस की अपनी विशेषताएं होती है, अपना एक काम करने का ढंग होता है, कुछ अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव होते हैं. पर जो वर्किंग एनवायरनमेंट की अगर आप बात करें तो वो सिर्फ हम लोग भी उसी मिनिस्ट्रीज में काम करते हैं जिस तरह आईएएस या और सर्विसेज के लोग करते हैं. बाहर एक थोड़ा स्टेटस फ़र्क हो जाता है क्योंकि आप किसी विदेश में हैं, इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, इंडिया को कुछ चाहिए तो उसको आप लोकल गवर्नमेंट से या लोकल बिजनेसमैन से, लोकल इन्वेस्टर्स से जाकर उस चीज़ को लेने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं या उनको कन्विंस करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. तो उसमें एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव आस्पेक्ट, डिसीजन मेकिंग आस्पेक्ट कम है और एक परसुएडिंग रोल, एडवोकेसी रोल, एक पब्लिसिटी रोल कुछ ज़्यादा है. या आप वहाँ लोकल जो बिग कंपनीज है उनसे कहें कि भाई इंडिया आइए, आप इन्वेस्ट करिए. अगर हमारी एक्सपोर्ट्स को कोई दिक्कत हो रही है तो वहाँ उसको आयरन आउट करिए. तो फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस मैं ये कहूँगा कि आईएएस में फील्ड पोस्टिंग में एक एग्जीक्यूटिव टाइप रोल, डिसीजन मेकिंग एंड एग्जीक्यूटिंग सर्टेन डिसीजन, इम्प्लीमेंटिंग सर्टेन डिसीजन, या इनकम टैक्स हो या पुलिस हो, वो ज़्यादा होगा. जबकि हमारी बाहर की पोस्टिंग में टू ट्राई टू कन्विंस अदर्स टू ब्रिंग देम अराउंड टू आवर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कि साहब हमें यूएन में हमारे लिए वोट करिए या हमें आप ये आर्म बेच दीजिए या वट एवर डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ थिंग्स कम. उसमें इट इज़ ए क्वेश्चन मोर ऑफ नेगोशिएशंस, डिस्कशंस एंड कन्विंसिंग देम. ये मेन नेचर ऑफ वर्क में डिफरेंस है.
Sir, my question to Amitabh sir. Sir, you are very experienced, sir, but I want to ask you about your most challenging thing in your life.
Could you repeat it?
Most challenging thing in your life, I want to ask you, sir.
Oh, I've faced so many of them, I don't know which one.
Because I'm
Be the
so.
most challenging. See, it depends on how you look at it. See, I had a team which used to do cross-border operations, cross into Nepal and get hold of terrorists. Now, these were the most exciting ones, but I cannot tell you the gory details of it. Then I used to lead a team which was into anti-dacoity operations. Then we mowed down the biggest of the dacoits. I don't know whether you've heard of them. They were legendary names like Dadua and Tokia and Nirbhay Gujar and all that. But in a gathering like this, it would be very difficult to tell you which one would be the most challenging. Yes, of course, I would tell you about something that you can relate to. I was investigating a case against a minister. He had killed his girlfriend. And he was trying to frame two IITians, two IIT Kanpur guys. Yes. And not only did I manage to nail the minister, I also managed to bail out these fellows whom he was trying to involve, and he was trying to produce evidence with the help of the press and some evidence that had been concocted. It was one hell of a time. Since when I started nailing that fellow, I started collecting evidence against that fellow, and the first time I interrogated him in an air-conditioned room, he was full of. I could see that he was sweating from top to bottom. And the next day, I got suspended. So my dad said, "It doesn't matter. Nobody can do anything to you. You belong to the All India Services, and enjoy your suspension." So I actually enjoyed my suspension. By that time I had a small daughter. For 40 days we were playing together, an opportunity that we didn't get earlier. So you face challenges, all kinds of challenges, and the police force is capable of throwing you all kinds of challenges. It just depends which one you treat. I mean, what priority you give to each one, or maybe when you're discussing it with different groups, maybe a different one will get priority. As far as challenges are concerned, there's no dearth. Thank you.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जब हम आईएएस की प्रिपरेशन करते हैं तो इसको अगर मैं हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में मैं हिंदी में ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल फील करता हूँ, तो अगर हिंदी मीडियम में अगर प्रिपरेशन की जाए तो इसका कोई डिसएडवांटेज नहीं है अगर इंटरव्यू से लेके एग्जाम प्रिपरेशन एग्जाम, इस बारे में मेरा क्वेश्चन है।
नहीं, कोई डिसएडवांटेज नहीं है। मेरे साथ बहुत सारे लड़के थे जिन्होंने हिंदी से प्रिपेयर किया था। ये तो सिर्फ आप किस लैंग्वेज में फ्लुएंट हैं, किस लैंग्वेज में आप अपने आप को प्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं, ये ज़रूरी है। अगर आप हिंदी में अपने आप को प्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं तो बहुत अच्छा है, उसमें कोई डिसएडवांटेज नहीं है, कोई ना इंटरव्यू में ना रिटन एग्जाम में।
Good evening, sir. My question is for Gaurav, sir. Sir, you left your job at City before preparing for IAS. So I want to ask how tough that decision was, given that no matter how much you love studying, but still there's an element of uncertainty while you are leaving a comfortable job, a certain job, and as it has been said that it is tough to switch back. So how tough was that decision?
Well, यदि मुझे पता होता कि ये एग्ज़ाम इस टाइप का है कि इतना अनसर्टेन, इतना रैंडम, तो देन आई वुड हैव नेवर क्विट द जॉब. मैं तो लाइक सिंपल सोचता था, एग्जाम्स आर लाइक इफ यू स्टडी whatever questions come in the exam, you answer those questions, and if you answer those questions well, you get good marks. हमारे इस एग्जाम में ये सारे कोरिलेशन ब्रेक डाउन कर जाते हैं, तो काफ़ी कुछ जो है मतलब ऊपर वाली की माया हो जाती है. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, it was not at all tough for me to leave the job, because when I left the job I knew I had to study. I was 100% sure. First time this thought came into my mind was after writing the mains exam next year. क्योंकि मेंस और इंटरव्यू के बीच में खाली टाइम होता है, एंड रियली इन दैट खाली टाइम यू डोंट डू एनीथिंग, और जब व्हेन यू डोंट डू एनीथिंग तब इस तरीके से सवाल आने लगते हैं. बट अदरवाइज I quit the job in September 2011 and the mains was in October 2012. So for the full 1 year I was only studying. These kind of questions never came into my mind. It was not at all difficult, not at all. If you are, that is why you have to be 100% convinced. That is why you should never opt for civil services just because your mama says so or your papa says so. Because this is not a 100 or 200 meter race. ये नहीं कि you study for 1 month and you clear the exam. This is a marathon, and you can only run the marathon with your mental toughness. Only when you are 100% convinced that you have to do it. So if you have those things right, that is why I only focus on those fundamental things. If you have these fundamental things right, technical चीजें सारी हो जाती.
There are certain exemptions given in respect of specified industrial activities. These exemptions are linked to investment, to industrial activity in specified areas, especially in remote areas, exports. Now, such exemptions are gradually being phased out. If you had followed the news item on this particular topic, this government immediately after taking over has announced that within a period of 5 years, the exemptions will be gradually phased out. Now, this has been a contentious issue. As you said, as you took name of one particular industrial house, this is a political issue. There have been attempts in the past also. There was a direct tax code. It was the biggest reform in the area of direct taxes. So the entire income tax act was sought to be replaced by direct tax code. And the said direct tax code did not have any chapter on exemptions. But it never saw light of the day. Now we do hope that certain changes will come in this direction. It does create a distortion in the economy, as you have rightly pointed out, that it does create an incentive in favor of the haves and against the have-nots, to put it in a macroeconomic perspective. But maybe there are certain interest groups, these are policies which came up during the industrialization phase. Certain incentives were given to set up industries in certain areas, then sector-wise, then investment cap-wise. Now, it is not possible to phase out all those exemptions to the extent I am aware in all of a sudden. But there is a declared policy of the government as of now that exemptions in general will be rolled out gradually in a time-bound manner. That is not to say all exemptions will go. And if you are talking about RTI, I can tell you there is something called revenue foregone statement. It gives you in a particular year how much direct tax revenue has not been realized because of the declared exemption policy of the government. If you want this data, you can simply file an RTI with the CBDT asking for the revenue foregone statement of the last 5 years. You will get an idea. So that is a declared policy. Every year it is approved by the minister, it is approved by the parliament. If you want to make some changes, maybe you have to
fight an election and do something about it?
Sir, suppose our
एक पार्ट और
Just a second.
एक पार्ट कॉमनवेल्थ का मैं जवाब दूंगा। देखिए, जब हम आज़ाद हुए थे तो उसके बाद कॉमनवेल्थ, यूनाइटेड नेशंस, इन सब से भारत को काफ़ी सहायता मिली थी। नए नए इंस्टीट्यूट बने से, यहाँ ये आपका खुद कानपुर इंडो अमेरिकन प्रोग्राम से बना हुआ इंस्टीट्यूट है, यूनाइटेड नेशन से भी हुआ था। तो एक कॉमनवेल्थ की उस समय एक ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट ट्रेनिंग के लिए बहुत सारे हज़ारों लोग जाया करते थे भारत से दूसरे कॉमनवेल्थ देशों में, और वहाँ से यहाँ आया करते थे। पर इस समय जब अगर मैं देखता हूँ 2015 में हमें, तो ये बहुत सवाल उठता है कि भाई कॉमनवेल्थ में हम क्यों आए हैं और वहाँ तो कोई इतना एक्टिव भी नहीं है। पर अगर आप देखिए जिस तरह ग्लोबलाइजेशन हो रहा है, भारत एक विचित्र स्थिति में है। एक तरफ तो तरक्की भी बहुत हो रही है, 7.5% या कुछ इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ भी हो रही है, दूसरी तरफ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट भी बहुत है, गरीबी भी बहुत है, और जो इश्यूज़ हैं उसमें तरह तरह से हिंदुस्तान को घेरने की कोशिश की जा रही है कि अगर क्लाइमेट चेंज है तो आप कार्बन एमिशन मत करिए, लेबर लॉज हैं कुछ इस तरह के, मतलब जो 8वीं कक्षा में जो पढ़ रहा है उसको आप एमए का एग्ज़ाम पास करने के लिए कहें तो कैसे पास करेगा। फिर धीरे धीरे हम लोग बढ़ रहे हैं उधर, पर लेबर लॉज, एनवायरनमेंट लॉज, पोल्यूशन लॉज, उसमें दुनिया से जो प्रेशर आ रहा है उसको निगेट करने के लिए हमें साथी चाहिए। और कॉमनवेल्थ ग्रुप हो या नॉन अलाइन ग्रुप हो, इस तरह जो लाइक माइंडेड कंट्रीज़ हैं जो हमारी स्थिति में हैं, उनसे बातचीत करके कि कोई ऐसा रिजीम इंटरनेशनल ना बने जिसमें कि हमारी लॉन्ग टर्म इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को नुकसान हो। एक ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
ये लगा लो, आपको ट्रू इन्फॉर्मेशन कभी नहीं मिलेगी, क्योंकि इस तरह की जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है, ये जो आपके जितने भी दिए जाते हैं, ये सब इतने स्कैटर्ड फॉर्म में होते हैं कि ऊपर से कभी विजिबल नहीं होते हैं। सबसे पहले उनको लैंड फ्री में मिलेगी, ठीक है, सर ने टैक्स एग्जेम्पशंस का कहा, उसके बाद उनको लैंड फ्री में मिलेगी। मैंने एक फैक्ट्री देखी है जो हमारे वहाँ डल रही है, उसको पानी लाने के लिए उसके जो है पूरा नया के नया प्रोजेक्ट बनाया गया है, उसकी कॉस्ट कौन पे कर रहा है? आप और हम जो टैक्स देते हैं। उसका माल ले जाने के लिए नई की नई सड़क बनाई गई है, उसकी कॉस्ट कौन पे कर रहा है? आप और हम। मगर ये सब क्या है? रिफॉर्म्स कहते हैं हमें से। ऑल दिस इज रिफॉर्म्स। जो भी हमको टैक्स ब्रेक और ये इस तरह की चीज़ें फ्री में देते हैं, दिस इज रिफॉर्म्स। और किसी नरेगा के लेबर को कुछ देते हैं तो हम बोलते हैं सब्सिडी है, वेस्ट है। तो दैट इज़ वाई वी नीड मोर पीपल लाइक यू इन द सिस्टम। जब तक आप लोग नहीं आओगे तब तक ये सब चीज़ें कैसे बदलेंगी?
Due to time constraint, we'll have one last question.
Sir, suppose for us ultimately serving the society is our ultimate aim. So what's your take on taking politics as a career option?
I think that's a great bold move. You're thinking in the right direction. I mean, no, it's not a joke. Politics is the best way to serve society. That is the best way, because if you talk about policy decisions, we talk about policy formulation, like the question which was raised just now, rich versus poor divide, subsidy, exemptions. All these issues, frankly speaking, cannot be addressed at the level of bureaucracy. These decisions are given top down. That is a fact. These decisions are given top down. And if you really want to make an impact, then of course politics is the best option. But as one of our friends was saying some time back, that when you interact with the politicians at district level, when a DC interacts with the politicians, how does he find himself, how does he cope himself with those politicians whom the friend thought to be somewhat semi-educated as compared to the DC? No, I do not agree with that. Some of our politicians are the most well-read, well-informed, and well-aware persons. A close interaction or work, if you get to work with them closely, not only in terms of laws, in terms of policies, you get to learn a lot from them in terms of appreciating the human sensitivity, in terms of appreciating what is most important for the day, what is most urgent matter for the moment. In a flash of moment, you have to take certain decisions and you have to identify which is the most thing today which I should be doing. I'll tell you, a politician, 9 out of 10 will make the correct decision. And a lawyer or any other specialist will not be able to identify what is the most important item agenda for the next 1 hour. That is my experience. So if you say that how it is a career option, I don't know whether politics should be thought of career option. I have my reservations against use of this word career option. It's not a career option, but if you intend to serve, if you really intend to serve public, if you really want to work with people, then of course there is no greater platform than politics.
One minute, on this, as Mr. Mishra rightly said, one should not take politics as a career, because then you want your advancement, you want financial security and all that stuff. But it is very necessary that good people, well-educated people, well-meaning people, people who are committed to lift the society, to serve the people, they come in politics. And my esteemed batchmate Pawan Verma has joined Nitish Kumar ji. He is the spokesman, you might have seen him on television. But he has full financial security. So he is not looking for a career, he really just wants to do something. Like Shashi Tharoor, I know him very well. He is not really looking for money, or he wants to do something more than what he has been doing. But to think that you join a party now and build a career, I think is a very risky career, and it will expose you to all kinds of difficulties, maybe in personal life. That is what I feel.
Sir, one last question, please. This is my opinion. I feel that civil services have been made too prestigious in our country. During British, ICS officers were mostly white people, and for them, Indians were kind of inferior. But today, I feel that local politicians are much more approachable than a civil servant. So, I read this somewhere that even Pandit Nehru wanted a change in this. So, what is your opinion that do we need a drastic change in the entire civil services system?
That change is already underway. If a civil servant is not accessible, he will become ineffective, or he or she will become ineffective. Until unless you are accessible, until unless you have that vision to interact, and if you have until unless you have that ability to interact, you will not be successful. So, a politician knows because he interacts. A politician is forced to interact because otherwise his politics will not survive. For me, whether I meet you or I don't meet you, I'll still be Superintendent of Police or Inspector General of Police. That attitude has to go. Otherwise, slowly we'll become irrelevant. So, in a way, what you're saying is very true, but that change is underway.
And not just this, I have heard this from my parents that in a district, the group of a district collector is mostly restricted to few elite people there, and not beyond that.
See, you need a executive arm of the government in different areas, whether it is income tax, whether it is police, administrative service, which is wedded to the constitution and which is not politicized. Because a politician, by definition, has a certain following, a certain party, a certain ideology, then what happens to the rest of the people? So there is a certain logic to having an independent steel frame and independent bureaucracy wedded to the constitution. That is one part of the story. Second, yes, what you have said, that it has become elitist and there is that colonial legacy that Sahab was there and the hoi polloi was here, but that is all changing because of two reasons. One is RTI and the second is the great weapon called email. If one SP or one ambassador doesn't address the issue of a citizen, email will go from President of India to the Chaprasi of India. 50 emails, and you must have seen that the foreign minister is saying somebody is in distress in Yemen and immediately action there. Then some railway officer, some lady was in distress in the passenger train and they sent the email to or Twitter or something to railway minister, there was immediate response. So that is technology has changed, whether by compulsion or by choice, the whole mindset and working methods of Indian bureaucracy now.
Yes, sir has rightly said that bureaucracy is a permanent part of the government, and it was a considered decision on part of our first Prime Minister to preserve the British legacy, and it has paid its dividends. It is evolving, and primarily due to changes, due to the revolution brought by the transparency laws, the RTI Act. Now you have to respond to even queries on Twitter. There is an official Twitter account of ministries and departments. CBT has an official Twitter account, which has recently been publicized. You can file any complaint on that, and it has to be responded to by the concerned department. Similarly, I think similar initiatives are there in all other departments. So within the existing framework, if it is able to, it is already adjusting to the increased aspirations of people. It has to adjust. And if it is able to evolve itself, I don't see any point just in entertaining an idea of replacing the system. It appeals to our fantasies, replace the system, change the system. But I think much can be done within the existing system. And you take decades. First of all, you take decades to fully understand how the system is functioning. It is not so easy. It is not so apparent. And recently, you must have seen in the news items, in Delhi government, there was some friction between the political government and the bureaucracy. And officers went on mass casual leave just to protest the way of functioning. And there was some idea floating that we will replace the bureaucracy with private professionals. We will bring in private professionals. Now, these are entirely anti-constitutional ideas. When you talk about diminishing the reputation or completely destroying the constitutional institutions, you have to be aware what you are talking about. You are saying that you will replace the institutions, but what do you have to replace it with? Do you have something to replace it, replace the existing system? So these are revolutionary ideas. These appeal to the youth. These appeal to the masses. They always have an appeal. But if we try to give, if we are trying to give it a serious consideration, we must always pose this question to ourselves. Okay, replace it with what? And if you get a serious answer, then yes, come up with the idea.
Well, much has been already said, and I would just like to concur that this thing has really changed, prestigious bureaucracy and all that. Whatever you think कि IAS होने के बाद ये लाल बत्ती मिलेगी, ऐसे ये 10 नौकर चाकर मिलेंगे, फलाना ये वो, all those days are gone. यहाँ पे चीफ सेक्रेटरी को तो आपके कोर्टों में तो जाना पड़ता है, दिन भर खड़े रहना पड़ता है. कई पोस्टें ऐसी हो गई जहाँ आपको एवरी अदर डे आपको हाई कोर्ट बुलाता रहेगा. जो भी आप साइन कर रहे होते हो, आजकल हालत ऐसी हो गई कि एनी साइन कैन लीड यू इनटू जेल. तो दीज थिंग्स आर रियली गॉन. एंड जो भी जैसे एक वो चीज़ होती थी, ऑल द डिसीजन मेकिंग एंड एवरीथिंग, मच ऑफ इट हैज़ गॉन इनटू द हैंड्स ऑफ पॉलिटिशियंस, एंड दिस थिंग हैज़ रियली चेंज. एज सर सेड कि जो अपने इस एलीट ग्रुप में कन्फाइन होकर रह जाता है, दैट ऑफिसर रियली बिकम्स इनइफेक्टिव. यू ऑफिसर्स आल्सो मिंगल विद द पीपल, एज फार एज आई थिंक. थैंक यू.
With this, we come to end of this session.
Well, coaching in IS is completely different from what we have seen in the coaching for IITs. IITs की जो coaching होती है, they are professional. They teach you properly. जो course होता है, जैसा cover करती हैं. ISC coachings are mostly फर्जीवाड़ा types. And you need the IS coaching only when you are totally unfamiliar with the subject. Then it makes sense कि ठीक है थोड़ा बहुत coaching वाला पढ़ा देगा. Or B, you don't know yourself what to study. But आजकल there is so much of guidance available online. Like हमारे बैच का रोमन सैनी है. He's running this Unacademy. In fact, he has quit IS to run it properly. That is a fabulous thing. उसके अलावा, anyways, आजकल all the books you can get delivery via Flipkart, Amazon, all that. वो दिन गए जब आपको मैगजीन्स वगैरह बैठ के पढ़नी होती थी, क्रॉनिकल ये वो इस तरह की मैगजीन्स. आज की डेट में आपने न्यूज़पेपर में कुछ पढ़ा एंड देन यू कैन इमीडिएटली गूगल इट अप. उससे रिलेटेड 5-6 आर्टिकल्स आपको इंटरनेट पे मिल जाएंगे. एंड किसी इशू पे आपने 5-6 आर्टिकल पढ़ लिए तो यू हैव गॉट अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव व्यू. तो कोचिंग वाली रेलिवेंस खत्म हो गई है. कोचिंग वाले, मैं आपको सजेस्ट करूँगा, आप, मेरा एक ब्लॉग है, मैंने कोचिंग वालों को डेडिकेट करके लिखे थे 2 पोस्ट, आप वो पढ़िएगा. और उसके अलावा भी कोचिंग वाले आज की डेट में वही है. मतलब जैसे मैं गया था, मैंने ये ज्वाइन किया था, आज की डेट में वो शुरुआत वैसे ही करते थे. वॉट इज़ द शेप ऑफ अर्थ? इज इट अ स्फीयर? इज इट इलिप्सॉइड? नो 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 नो. आधे घंटे तक वो मेरे को बताता रहा कि शेप ऑफ द अर्थ क्या है. शेप ऑफ द अर्थ से कभी कोई सवाल नहीं आना है. 20 साल पहले वो लोग जो पढ़ाते थे वही कि वही आज पढ़ा रहे हैं वो लोग. तो कोचिंग रियली हैज लॉस्ट रेलिवेंस नाउ. ऑप्शनल के केस में फिर भी रेलिवेंस है, बट इवन देयर आई वुड टेल यू कि जैसे मैंने हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल किया था, मेरा कोई बैकग्राउंड नहीं था, मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगी वो कोचिंग. बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ाया था उन्होंने, एवरीथिंग वाज फाइन. उससे ज़्यादा अच्छी कोचिंग शायद पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. किंतु फिर भी जब प्रीलिम्स होने के बाद मैंने 14 मेंस पेपर, पिछले साल के पेपर्स वगैरह उठा के देखे, मैं 300 में से 50 नंबर के सवाल से ज़्यादा अटेम्प्ट ही नहीं कर पा रहा था. इवन दो कोचिंग वाला विल क्लेम कि जो है उनके पेपरों में 250 नंबर के सवाल है, 300-500 नंबर के सवाल है. बट इन रियलिटी इफ यू गो थ्रू द पेपर्स, इफ यू कन्फाइन योरसेल्फ टू द कोचिंग वालास ओनली, you won't be able to answer more than 15-20% of the paper. Forget about scoring 15-20% marks. You won't be able to answer more than 15-20% of the paper. पढ़ाई आपको खुद को करनी पड़ेगी. In the optional subject you will have to read all the standard textbooks. जो भी आपके बड़े बड़े ऑथर्स होते हैं सबकी किताबें आपको पढ़नी पड़ेंगी. जो भी उनके डिस्कशन होते हैं सब आपको पढ़ने पड़ेंगे. जीएस के अंदर आपको न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना होगा, इंटरनेट पे खोद के पढ़ना होगा. these are things you will have to do. You cannot rely on coaching.
Now I would request Professor A.R. Harish to come up on the stage and felicitate our speakers with tokens of moment. Mr. Skand Ranjan Tayal. Mr. Amitabh Yash. Mr. Salil Mishra. And Mr. Gaurav Thakur. Sorry, Gaurav Agrawal. With this we end up our session here, and thank you everybody for coming.